And what is the name of this is users. What is the name of this is users. If I click on new user, now it is asking array. What happened? Submit above. First we have taken submit table row. Users.html td. Okay, right? So new user. Now here I try to input the username. Now username is Naresh and click on submit. Hello Nana. What happened here? This value is not inserted, right? Mm, input type name is user, right? So here get what is that? User. The value what you are sending is not this one. You are sending what here? User. You are trying to input the name and click on submit. You can see hello Naresh. I click on home. Home. Click on home. So once you click on home, so what is the URL I've given? Home only, right? Not found home. Users and new user. Oh, so this is dynamic URL, right? Yeah, we are accessing this with what name? And when it is dynamic, you have to access it by using which tag? What is the name of this tag is? Percentage. Percentage what? URL. And here I'm giving a name. And what is the name here? Home. Yes. Because this is not a static URL. This is dynamic. But this is because this is not defined in template, right? What we can do is we'll give a name because it has to be rendered by template. So what we'll do is we just give the name in urls.py. Just give the name as what here? Home. Okay, right? So that you don't have any problem, right? Now here again you send a request. Okay, send a request here. Oh, send a request by giving home. Now this is a new user. Enter the name and submit. Hello Naresh and click on home. Right. Now next you click on which user? Existing user. So once you click on existing user, then you should get the details of what? User. You should get the details of what here? User. You should get the details of user. When you click on which link? Existing user. When you click on existing user, then you should get the details of that user. When you click on existing user, then you should get the details of that user. Now I try to take another view, and what is that another view is existing user. And this is having a parameter called request. This is having a parameter called request. Right now, this is existing user. Now, in existing user, what you are trying to do, you are trying to read the details of user. You are saying name equal to request dot. What is the request method is get dot get. And you try to store the cookie with what? Name and value. What is the name? Cookie name is what? Name. Cookie name is what? Name. You are reading the value of which one? Name. You are reading the value of what? Name. And after reading the value of name, okay, you are trying to generate a response. What is the response is? Hello, hello, this name, and I'm trying to display the message, welcome back. I'm displaying what message here? Welcome back. And you are creating a response by saying HTTP response, and you are wrapping the output and you are returning what here? Response. Now here I'm trying to display the message. What is the message is? Welcome back. Because this user is already exist or not? Yes, is already stored. This user details already stored within the client machine, right? In the form of cookies. It is stored in the client machine in the form of what here? Cookies, right? Now for this, you have to define the URL. For this, you have to define the URL path. Now this is e-user, existing user, comma, I'm trying to give existing user and name is what here? E-user. Name is e-user, right? Then in home.html, I just give the link. And what is the link is? E-user. So once you click on this, the request is sent to the, once you click on this, oh, sorry. Here you have to say request dot cookies dot get. Request dot cookies dot get, and you are reading the value of which one? Name. Yes. Because you are getting which information? Cookies information. Because where is the name is in cookies? Where is the name is in cookies? Now you are saying request dot cookies dot get. You are reading the value of what here? Name. You are reading the value of name, and then you are displaying the output saying hello name, welcome back. You are trying to wrap this within the response by saying HTTP response, and you are trying to wrap which one? Output, and return the response here. Return the response. So I click on existing user. Now you can say hello Naresh, welcome back. Because this data is stored in the client machine or not? Yes. Now suppose I try to close the browser. I close the browser. I close the browser here. Now again I send a request. I close the browser and I send a request again. So I send a request again. This is home. And again, you have it two options. One is new user and one more is what? Existing user. And you can say, hello, Naresh, welcome back. But it means, is it this cookies exist or not exist? Exist. Even though I close the browser. But generally, non-persistent cookies deleted. Non-persistent cookies get deleted once you close the browser. Non-persistent cookies get deleted once you close what? Browser. But persistent cookies are exist even after closing what? Browser. After closing browser also, these cookies get what? Exist. Okay, right? Now again, you select this, and I'm using a Chrome here. So send a request here, home. Okay, I just click on existing user. If you say new user, you can enter the name, some Ramesh, and click on submit. And this is a home again, existing user. Hello Ramesh, welcome back. I close this. I close this. And again I open the browser. Again I open the browser. And within the browser, okay, I type the URL. And if I click on existing user, you can say hello Ramesh, welcome back. But is it deleted or exist? Exist. Then how to delete? By using a method called delete cookie. How to delete? By using a method called what? Delete cookie. If you want to delete, you can delete it by using a method called delete cookie. Suppose if I don't give the maximum age, I remove this maximum age. See here, I just remove this maximum age. There's no maximum age here. I have not defined the maximum age. So no maximum age. So I have not defined the maximum age. So not define the maximum age. So what will happen if you don't write the maximum age? I'll say the new user and I just give the name as what here, some Kishore, and click on submit. And I said home, an existing user, hello Kishore, welcome back. I close the browser. I close the browser here. Now browser is closed. I try to open the browser again. I try to open the browser again. Now I'm just writing here home. I'm trying to say existing user. Now you have a message. What is that here? None type. Means is it cookie contain any value or no value? No value. There's no cookie with the name. See here. There is no cookie with the name. There is error here. What is the name is output equal to hello name. So name means you are reading the name, right? You are reading the name. What name you are reading? See in the view, you are reading the name. What name you are reading the value of name? What is the name here? Name of the cookie. But is it this cookies exist or not exist? Not exist. This cookies exist or not exist? Not exist. Then immediately it is generated which error? None type error because there's no cookie with that name. There's no cookie with what? That name. So non-persistent cookies are deleted automatically. Okay. We replace it, right? We replaced. We replaced. Or we replace it here. So you can have how many cookies with the same name? Only one cookie. Okay. So we are storing all the cookies with the same key. What is the key's name? What is the key's name? You are storing all the cookies with the same name. And what is the name of the key's name? Means you are storing with the same name, right? So that's the reason existing cookie is what? Deleted or replaced. Now here I define the maximum age. Here I define the maximum age. Now once you define the maximum age, now this cookies get stored in the browsers. Now open this and type the URL here, home. Now you can see existing user. It is given error because we have not created any user. I create a user Naresh and submit home. Existing user, hello Naresh, welcome back. Close the browser and open this browser again and type the URL and say home. Existing user, you can say hello Naresh, welcome back. Understood? Right? So these are called which cookies? Persistent cookies. That is what will happen when you work with some online shopping carts. So you open it and add some products within the cart. But you close the browser and when you open it again, it will show you the existing products or not. Yes. Is it in your cart? Will it show the existing products or not? Yes, it will show the existing products. Getting or not? So where it is stored in the disk? It is stored in the disk, and that cookies you call it as persistent cookies. That you call it as persistent cookies. Yeah, you can make a list of existing users by adding with the different names, not with the same key, with a different key. Not with the same key, you have to store with a different key. Not with the same key, you can store with a different key, right? So you can create a list of users, right? Okay, now this is called as a persistent cookies and non-persistent cookies. So you never store the secure data within the browser. Yes, is it this is clear? All of you? So adding the cookie and reading the cookie and deleting the cookie. If you want to delete the cookie, you can use a method called delete cookie. Response dot delete cookie. Request dot cookies. For reading, you are using request dot cookies. For adding the cookie or modifying the cookie, you are using response dot set cookie. If you want to delete the cookie, you are deleting the cookie by using response dot delete cookie with the name. Okay, right? So let us copy this and go for another way of state management. Another way of state management. So there is one more approach is there because cookies are not secured. Okay, cookies are not secured and you cannot store the secure data. You cannot store the secure data within client machine, right? So let me copy this application here. Now settings.py and this is home.html. Home.html and there is users.html. That's all right. So nothing is there. So we copied users, home.html settings, urls.py and views.py and settings. Okay, right now this is how you work with the persistent cookies as well as what are non-persistent cookies. Now, what are the limitations? What are the limitations? What are the limitations of cookies? What are the limitations of what cookies? The first one is the data is stored. The data is stored. The data is stored as a plain text. So the data is stored as a plain text within, okay, within what your client machine. The data is stored as a plain text. Means key is a string and value is also what? String. Key is a string and value also string. And cookies, so cookies are having limited size. Cookies are having limited size. It cannot hold large amount of data. Now cookie can restrict with some 4 KB. So that depends on the browser, right? So cookies are restricted to how many KBs here? 4 KBs. Cookies are having limited size. It cannot hold, sorry, it cannot hold a large amount of data. It cannot hold a large amount of data. And next one is, it can hold how much data? 4 KB. What is the maximum size of cookie is 4 KB. It cannot hold a large amount of data, and it can hold the data in the form of what? Text. But it cannot store the data in binary format, or you cannot store the data in any other format. It is stored as a plain text. And cookies are not secured. Cookies are not secured because these are stored, because these are stored. Okay, these are stored inside which machine? Client machine. Cookies are not secured because these are stored inside client machine. For example, I store credit card information or debit card information in the client browser or in client machine. If any other person come and open it, he can see all my information. Is it secured or not secured? Not secured. Or other sites can read this persistent cookies information. Now cookies are not secured because these are stored in client machine. And anything you store within client machine, it is not secure. Any data you store within client machine, it is not secured. To avoid this, or to overcome our limitations, the data is persist. The data is persist, or the state is persist, not in client machine, It is stored in what here? Server machine. Now where you are storing all these details? Not in the client machine, but you are storing in which machine? Server machine. Now you are not storing in the client machine, but you are storing in what? Server machine. In server, the client information is stored. In server, client information can be stored in server. In server, stored. It can be stored in server database. It can be stored in the database. It can be stored in the database. It can be stored in what? Server cache. So it can be stored in server cache. So two approaches are there. One is database and one more is what? Cache. And whatever you store in the server side, it is secure. Whatever you store at the server side, it is what? Secured. But whatever you are storing in the client side, is it a secured or not secured? Not secured. Suppose I log in by giving username and password. And if you store this username and password within the client machine, okay, so is it that password is secured or not secured? Not secured. Because anything you store within the client machine is not secure. To avoid that, you store this secure data not in the client machine, but you try to store this information at which side? Server side. But at server side, where you are storing this? You are storing either in database, you are storing either in what? Cache, server cache, or you are storing within the database. And whatever you store within the database, is it temporary or permanent? Permanent. But whatever you store within the server cache, is it temporary or permanent? Temporary. Now here also you have two. One is maintaining the state permanently and maintaining the state what? Temporarily. Maintaining the state permanently or maintaining the state temporarily. But between the client and server, what is exchanged? One thing is exchanged between the client and server, and what is that exchange is session ID. We'll talk about this. So to overcome our limitations, the data is persist or state is persist, not in client machine. It is stored in which machine? Server machine. In the server machine, it is stored the information about client in database, or it is stored in what? Server cache. I think you understood this limitations. So what are the limitations? The data is stored as a plain text within the client machine. And second one is cookies are having a limited size. It cannot hold a large amount of data. What is the maximum size of cookie? 4 KB. And cookies are not secured because these are stored inside what? Client machine. To overcome the above limitations, the data is persist or state is persist not in the client machine. It is stored in what? Server machine. In server, client information can be stored in two ways. One is using database and one more is what? Cache. Understood? Right? So here, how this state is maintained is by storing the information about client within the database or within the cache, right? So for maintaining server side, for maintaining server side state, for maintaining server side state, okay, Django provides a session framework, right? Django provide what here? Session framework. Okay, session framework. It is provided separate library or it is provided separate framework. And what is the name of that framework is session framework. By using this session framework, you can maintain the session about the client at which side? Server side. Okay, that can be stored either in database or that can be stored either in what? Cache, right? So just try to understand what is the meaning of session management or state management. What is the meaning of session or state management? Identifying the client by what? Server. Identifying the client by server. That is from login to logout. You log in, but whenever you send a request, your server should identify the request is come from the same client. But how it identifies the request is come from the same client? Every time you're sending what details? User details. From client to what? Server. Saying that I'm the user, I'm the user, I'm the user login, I'm the user login, I'm the same user, I'm sending a request. I'm the same user sending the request. But how you are sending your details again and again? By storing in what? Cookie. And where that cookie is stored in the browser. When you are storing that cookie in the browser, when you send a first request, when you send a first response, that user details will be stored in the browser or client machine. So that whenever you send again request, your server identifies the request is come from the same client by reading which information? Cookies information. Because you are sending the request by using what? Cookie. So within that cookie, whose details are there? User details are there. And according to that user details, it will process the response. Getting on not? But every time you're sending the details from client to what? Server. Every time you're sending the details from client to server. So without sending the details, server cannot understand the request is come from the same client or another client. So compulsory you have to maintain the state from login to what? Logout. Now when you log in, you create a session. When you log out, you delete the session. In between, you do lot of things. In between, you do lot of things. You send so many requests. But how server will identify the request is from the same client? Whenever you send a request, again you are sending username. You are sending again what? Username. Again you are sending a username. Will develop like Gmail kind of application, like where you compose a mail and send a mail, right? So we'll see that. But how it will work, we'll see. But here, session framework allows to maintain the state of the client, not at the client side. It allows to maintain the state of the client at what here? Server side. And that can be stored either in the database or that can be stored in what? Server cache. But either it is client side or server side. At server side, what you are storing? Only the information about client. At server side, what you are storing? Only the information about what? Client. But whenever you send a request to the server, that request is a new request or not? Yes. Now something has to be exchanged between the client and what is it? Server. Something has to be exchanged between the client and server. And what is exchanged between the client and server is? What is exchanged between the client and server is session ID. And this session ID is exchanged between the client and server by using what again? Cookies only. By using which one? Cookies only. That's the reason when you work with certain websites, it will display the message saying that whether enable all cookies or manage cookies or disable what cookies, not allow cookies, allow cookies, not allow cookies, and what do you call it as manage cookies. You'll get three buttons, right? Three buttons. Why you get those three buttons? Because that website that website is storing some information in your browser. So because of that, if you click on allows cookies, then only your website will work properly. Otherwise, your website will not work properly. Then only your website will work properly. Otherwise, your website not work what properly. But one information is changed between the client and server, and what is that information is session ID. Right. So to work with the server side session management, every application, whenever you create an application or whenever you create a project, your project comes with some predefined applications and predefined middlewares, right? Go to settings.py. In settings.py, now you find one application, and what is the name of the application? Django.contribute. What is that? Sessions. And at the same time, you also find one middleware. And what is the name of the middleware? Django.contribute.sessions.middleware. What is that? Session middleware. Okay, django.contribute.sessions.middleware. What? Session middleware. And at the same time, you also define how you want to maintain the state. You want to maintain the state by storing information in the database, whether you want to store the information about client within the server cache. Then how to configure that and how to work with the server side state management or session management. Not today, but because it will take some time. Tomorrow I'll explain server side. Okay. So once we see the server side, then we'll go for predefined applications like authentication and what? Authorization. And even I'll tell you how to develop your own middlewares, and even we'll see what is the signals and how to develop a signals. And once we complete that, we'll go for REST API, right? We'll develop one application. After developing one application, we'll go for REST API, right? So thank you. We'll see tomorrow, right? One cookie have one key. One cookie has one key only. Cookie is one object only. Cookie is only one. Okay, it is identified with only one key and one value. If you want to store multiple, you store with different names and different values. Because when you read the cookies is dictionary. You get all the cookies. Yesterday we stored products, right? How many products we stored? So many. Huh? I think what here? You're not getting what I'm saying? Yes. 4 KB is saying. One cookie size is 4 KB. Yes. Value size here. Value is there, no? That value size should be what? 4 KB. Okay, right? Yeah, we'll see the Flask also, right? Yeah, we'll see the Flask also. Yeah, you can put blank, no problem. Yeah, you can put blank here.